I'm not muted. All right. Sorry, I'm waiting on a call from my doctor. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, underbid 10 to 15% on jobs. 10% margin historically makes money. A lot of companies have too much overhead to sustain the cut. Are you in construction? Home building? Or something else? You have an echo. I don't know why. I hear no echo. Okay. Is there a reason your MNST diagonal has the same expiration date? I thought one leg was shorter. Why isn't that lining up? Hold on. That's going to annoy me. I'm an idiot. Okay. All right. I don't need to draw that. 99% of our backlog is government. Very little private out there. Commercial mostly. Okay. Are you going to tell Gherkin he needs kidneys more than him? We haven't discussed the number of bips required for a kidney. What happened with SPX? It dumped. Yeah. Remember we were talking about how sometimes like that last ditch effort on the top of distribution fails? This is what it looks like when it fails. Yeah, oil sold off fucking hard as fuck. I'm guessing peace in the Middle East. That's the only reasonable explanation. Unless OPEC made some sort of announcement today, but I don't think they did. ISM manufacturing contracted again, which, I mean, lowers oil demand, but not that much. Kind of thinking I want to go long oil here. That and you just said rate hike. Yeah. I'm not confirming a crash. Market crash on no news? Yuda said he was going to hike rates this morning. Although, I'm not really sure that's hit the carry trade that hard. Hit it a little bit on the long term, where things were starting to get levered up. But short dated leverage is staying about the same, right? So they're trying to back out of long term cost to carry, and they're levering up the short dated paper, like the short paper, in order to cover the cost to carry. Also, the yield curve fucking almost uninverted again. And forward yield on vols back over the federal funds rate. So this was a bit of a shock. But ISM manufacturing definitely didn't fucking help. Employment reduced, right? So now we've got to price in more rate cuts. Hold on, I need to update this. Hmm. 1 second. Sorry. Um. Hmm. All right, that's a little better. So ISM manufacturing employment was up 46 versus the previous 43.4. Says a renewed reduction in employment was recorded amid spare capacity in the sector. I'm just reading the report itself. I don't know what the numbers were. Monster's looking hot. Yeah, hopefully not too hot because I have a diagonal on it. Ooh, Jimmy, did Jimmy just fail Gamma Max? That's not good. Alright, let's see. Prices paid are rising on new orders, and production contraction picked up pace. Let me see here. Yep, okay, so it says employment index registered 46% up 2.6 percentage points from July's figure of 43.4%. Output measure by the production and employment indexes continued in moderate contraction, with production sagging further. While employment contracted slower to July, panelist companies reduced both production levels month over month as headcount reductions continued into August. So they still registered employment as contracting. Because well, specifically in this report, they generally tie employment to capacity utilization. So um, respondent companies are continuing to reduce headcounts through layoffs, attrition, and hiring freezes. Sentiment in August indicated continued staff reductions compared to July, supported by approximately 1 to 1.2 ratio of hiring versus headcount reduction comments. Employment index above 50.3% over time is generally consistent with an increase in the BLS data on manufacturing employment. Over 18 manufacturing industries, the only three industries reporting employment growth in August are furniture and related products, food, beverage, and tobacco, and primary metals. The 10 industries reporting a decrease in employment are plastic and rubber products, wood products, textile mills, electrical equipment, appliances and components, and fabricated metal products, paper products, transportation equipment, computer and electronic products, chemical products, and miscellaneous manufacturing. Just reset the stream if you're getting an echo. No one else is getting it. Well, two of you are, but the rest aren't. Verizon and T are absolutely smashing. Yeah, they tend to do well when the market's dropping. They might have two audio tracks streaming at the same time. So yeah, for August, 10% of employment was higher, 70% was the same, and 19.1% was lower, which brings the net to negative 9.1%. You have to, when these reports come out, don't just look at the headline numbers. You have to look at the rest of the data, especially PMIs, because anything that is in contraction, right, is there for a reason. And it's not because employment is expanding. Echo, YouTube, and Discord. You have an Echo on Discord too? No? Oh. Oh, like they have both open. What's the major malfunction at 5560? There's a lot of sold puts here, but they could get squeezed off. We're starting to get a little bit of bullish support though. Not a ton of it. Some support down. Yeah, I don't know if I would trust this not to fail and drop to 55.40. There's a lot of bot puts out of the money. Like 55.40, 55.30, 45 and 30. Why is the market tanking today? Well, UDA threatened to cut rates, but I think it was ready to do this at the end of day on Friday anyway. Are we at the expected move? We've massively exceeded that. The expected move for today was like 30 bips. One second. All right. These upstart puts are kicking with gas. Yeah, they're not doing too bad. Chances of a pushback on SPX into end of day in anticipation of jolts tomorrow, or have bulls given up for the day? I wouldn't say they've given up, but they need it to get like back above 65 to start getting a bit of a ramp. And right now that doesn't look like it's happening. If we lose 60 here, we probably have a pretty clean path down to like 50 or 45. They might come in and try to support it higher, but it doesn't look great. Hmm. You dying? I don't feel well, but hopefully I can get that taken care of today. Hmm. Still having issues with the Amex. Hmm. How far away are CTA triggers? Pretty far. Like I think like 370, 375 or something like that. When you sell options against an open position, does your broker automatically turn it into a spread? Not always. Some brokers do, though. Others don't. Most, I would say, do. Yeah, monthly GN is very close. Hmm. What's support looking like on SPX? I think they're still trying to build support here at 60. $5,600 options building? There's a lot of sold calls out there. I would say the most interesting thing is like 55.90 sold puts. And 55.70 sold puts. Hmm. It's closer to like $4 of risk. So I have an appointment to go into the like private clinic ER thing. Um, at 5. So I'll probably go there after work. Auctions are over, aren't they? Oh no, we have a 42 day and a 1 year. Those aren't going to matter much, I don't think. Are we your work? No. That was a sick move, Dork. I saw that. If you guys don't think day trading is like a job, I'm not sure you're approaching it the right way. Wouldn't this be one of the biggest red days ever if we close around here? I don't know about biggest red day ever. A decent sized red day? July, we had a, what, a 232 point drop? I think back in Jan, we had a day that was like 160 points down. Something like that. Where the fuck are my napkins? 1 second. Are you seriously considering selling an 85 put? I mean, I was thinking about it. It's definitely a job, and I keep getting fired. That makes us co-workers. Sure. Don't need a credit card to ride this train. Have you ever paid for a train with a credit card? Like an Amtrak? First it's sick Gherk, and now I've got a sick grandma. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. I hope she's does better than me. Or gets better. Just gets better. Hmm. Where's NVIDIA's next support since it got below 120? 110? No, it's already there. Jesus. God damn it. Nice. You would budget $95 PDD calls for October. When would you sell them? I would look for resistance around 100. It seems there's quite a bit there. It's not exactly historically significant, but 98 is. Looks like it's pushing up through that, though. How do you interpret when price targets get announced or get maintained on stocks? Mostly bullshit, some truth, mostly bullshit. They're doing so with their own positioning in mind. Is this too cynical? They're validating their positioning. So they're putting out an analyst report to say this is why we bought this stock, this is what we think of this stock in this current situation, this is why we're holding, buying more, selling. They're regulated, right? So a lot of it is just due, like a lot of analyst reports are released due to regulation. And to influence the market. So, I mean, they're going to say bullish things about stuff they're long on. They're going to say bearish things about stuff they're short. This is actually awesome. I like this spread that I sold. Either it gets cheaper and I can buy it back, or I lose 90 bucks. Was the bear rally confirmed dead? Nope, we have bot puts below us at 55. So here's a treat for you guys. Here's a 114 snapshot of the live data. So you see if we lose like 55, 45, or well, if we lose 55, 55, we're probably going to dump down into 50 where things start to get a little supportive again. But that dump down, we could lose price levels like all the way down to like 55, 30. So, fun stuff. Do I do private equity? No. Well, my own. But I don't manage it for anybody else. All privates are equitable. Whatever came of rolled up sleeves guy job opportunity? I turned it down. There were a number of reasons. But the biggest being that we were pretty balls deep into working on Gamma Strike. Still are. And I'd much rather do my own thing than be under someone's thumb. Also, the commissions were terrible. Relative to the amount of capital being managed, it was not a good deal. Usually 2 and 20 is the standard. So 2% on capital held and then 20% of profits. Um, this would have been significantly worse than that, but it came with a base salary. So it was more of like a salaried position, which I'm not really into. How much commission would have made you say yes? If it was 2 and 20, I would have said yes immediately. I'll give you 2 and 20, but my trading port is like 20,000. Jesus Christ. I think you'd be looking at more like a 1050 deal. And not from me. 20k? Fucking show off. When you're managing someone else's funds, can you still trade your own alongside it? Or is it a conflict of interest? Mm, it depends. In like a private equity scenario, if you're like a consultant, then you could. It's not a good look, but you there's nothing stopping you. If you're taking outside capital from the public, then absolutely fucking not. What about investment banking? The old FA who gets fined or cited and then becomes a consultant to only work with UHNW people. That's always a funny one. What kind of strategy would you have deployed if you said yes? Just sell in the money credit spreads on SPX? No, no. There probably would have been a fairly significant amount of long-term holdings. I would say very little capital at risk outside of fundamental investments and fixed income. You can't, you don't open up that amount of money to loss on options. I don't know if selling in the money credit spreads would have been a strategy I would have deployed, but there would probably be an allocation towards options. What? So GME got it. I mean, if I was a fund, I would short vol on GME. The yields are insane. So I shouldn't have full ported 100k into the 2023 bank failures and lost it all. No. Good firms like to hire younger traders based on they haven't been burned yet. They don't like to give them a lot of money to burn. Whoops. How'd you manage an '08 type stock market crash, managing capital in the 220 situation? Well, I mean, no matter what you do at that point, you're probably going to experience some drawdown, right? Because you're going to have core positions that get just obliterated. Um, but hopefully your tail risk hedging is in place and robust enough to cover at least some of your losses. I mean, that's something we don't see in the market very often. It's where risk is probably highlighted the most, is that nobody really hedges their tail risk. Which is, I mean, it makes sense, right? It's expensive, and why do it when, the odds are significantly in your favor that there will never be a tail event, right? Um, but when there is one, and most of the risk in '08, as far as systemic risk, was in, bigger leveraged assets, swaps, and MBSs, right? And betting on NBSs, none of which I would ever do anyway, especially not managing private equity. So you wouldn't have been exposed to that stuff. The worst hit probably would have been in like financial sector core holdings. That would have been rough. Huge drawdowns, and like if you owned banks, you got fucking railed. Banks or insurance. How's Tesla looking? Hmm. Like not above 220. Yeah, mostly that. It failed to break out at 220 this morning, but support at 210, and it looks like it's holding up. So that might be a good sign. I still wouldn't go long on it unless it was above 220, though. It's a very risky entry for calls. Yeah, I do. Uh, I want you to be okay. Even if I made money without you this morning, some of my wanting you to be okay isn't even selfish. Well, we got the bearish open today, right? Yeah, we opened under 56.25. And then just fucking dumped. Look beautiful. Where is VIX dangerous? For short vol? Hmm. I mean, under 55.60, right? They've been selling vol under 55.60 for the last like couple weeks. Does what happened today so far change what you think about potential all-time highs by November, end of year, or FOMC expectations? That's just a. Are you talking about like the technical high? That's just where the trend would go if it continued. I don't think we're going to 6,000 at all. She really looked good when we looked at it yesterday. I don't know where it's going to run to. There's not a lot of out of the money interest on it. How'd you feel if your doctor was a pickle jar member? Well, I would go to a different doctor. Unless it's Dave. Any more thoughts on GME since this morning? No. It almost tested 25, right? It's kind of where I expected there to be resistance. It's sold off. It's falling below. Well, it's below Gamma Max again. And failing, which isn't a good sign. GME needs a lot more delta on the chain if you want like a big DFV style run. Otherwise, it's just ETF FTD is small bump. Probably will get eaten up. But it looked like people were getting bullish on it on Friday. There was some interest from like 25 to 30. That needs to continue to build. If it doesn't, then there's no shot at that price target. Idiot trade time. I already did one. I sold a in the money 55.90 put. Do you have any interesting sector index related earnings coming up? Do we? Um, Hewlett Packard might be important. Broadcom on Thursday. So HP tomorrow, Broadcom Thursday. Some consumer shit. Thanks, little orphan Danny. I sold some 55.50, 55.55 bull puts. Okay. Whatever happened to the massive chug jug you had? It had character. I was gonna get bursitis picking that thing up over and over again. Although it was probably good exercise. You bought the 5590. Sold. Oh yeah, sold the 5600. It's a good hedge if we bounce super fucking hard though. Why'd you sell a 5600 put? Well, everyone else is doing it. Still are. I'm not the only one selling that put. Zom climbing. Mm. Puts on AVGO, calls on HP. I don't play earnings. Do you know a fun fact about HP? Are there any? How many of those are sold to open? All of them? Well, the majority of them. You're making all your listeners who bought puts sweat right now, and it's hilarious. There's like, it's 90 cents of risk. You guys don't hedge mean reversion? Like, you just get blown up when the price bounces? Yeah, that's what I thought. So think of it like this: you want to short the breakdown, right? And you're like, oh, I'm a genius. I'm gonna buy puts at the bottom. Okay, and don't even try. And I know what you're thinking. So you buy your put at the bottom, right? You've bought your 55.55 or 55.50 put for let's say $6, right? So you could sell the in the money bull put spread for, let's see, do like the vertical? Oh, this is so much easier on option strat. Hold on. I'll just fucking open it on option strat. So you buy that out of the money put, right? Or, well, I guess you could get a 60 now. For 750, but you could sell this. And then your net credit 50 and you have no loss to the upside. I know, it's crazy. See, options are cool. So instead of just raw dogging this put, right? And fucking losing, you know, $700 when the price bounces, you could just open this. And a big chunk of that risk is gone, right? On an upside move. Now, the closer you sell it, the more you can reduce that range of loss, right? But you also push your your break even out further by close. But if we mean revert back to 5,600, this saves your ass. And if we do it earlier in the day, well, it still saves your ass, right? It's like if we bounced right now and you're holding that put, you'd only lose like $200 on the bounce. Versus, you know, if you didn't have this, you would lose 500. What is this for us listening on audio? Here. I'll put it in the Discord audio chat. Or just in the YouTube chat. You guys can play with it. I thought we bought yes, no contracts. You do. Do I need a different broker to be able to do this on? Fidelity sucks. Max profit of 550K. I'm in. That's if the SPX were to go to 0. That's a good position when you think the market's like overextended, but you want to try to play a continuation, right? So you've broken through or above a major support, right? And in this case, it's like 5,600. Right, and if it's going up, and you've hit the next minor support or resistance, and you want to like go long, right? But the odds of a mean reversion are really high, then you can sell that like in the money call spread to cover the cost basis of your long call, right? So you want these to net zero. And then, if it fails or fails rapidly, this is especially true for like overnight positions, then you're hedged, right? You'll get credit back equivalent to the money lost on the long call. $5,600 put is 4K. So I mean, a vertical is the value of the spread. So the max loss on this will always be $10. And I sold it for $9.10. So I have 90 cents of risk. But I have $9.10 of potential upside. So if we closed today at 5,600, I would make $9 on 90 cents of risk. If we don't, I lose 90 cents. It's not a bad trade-off. You shouldn't routinely be taking ibuprofen. I don't. Although they told me to take it for the pain. But yeah, I'm aware of the dangers of ibuprofen. Gets really dangerous if you start taking ibuprofen and antacids together. Oil's getting waffle stomped. Yep. Yeah, it is. Netanyahu is totally gonna give up his war that he's waited 30 years for because some people are protesting. No, he's not. I was being sarcastic. He's absolutely not giving it up. And if they get the opportunity, they'll take over Libya too. Or not Libya, Lebanon. I'm in Lebanon, yeah. I'm sick. Anyway, I mean, Israel's in a great position right now, right? You start a war with everyone around. They're surrounded by failed states. They could just take it all over. Why the fuck would they give up now? It's like, oh, you're right. We didn't want to kill people. The fuck, are you fucking kidding? They could grab Syria and Lebanon if they really wanted to. And Egypt. It's a little trickier. They have a once in a few decades opportunity. It would be weird for them not to take it. Yeah. Wouldn't they have to deal with Russia if they went for Syria? Hmm. Sure. And? Do you think the US wants Russia getting Syria? They'll have to deal with Turkey. We're already in Syria. I know. I think we would have spent all that time toppling al Assad and Aoun if we weren't gonna try to make a move for their fucking countries. When was the last time Lebanon had a president? 2022? Let's just colonize all of the Middle East. Sounds better than a depression. The Saudis aren't going to say shit. They're already in the US's pocket. Iran might have a problem with it, but who the fuck cares? What, are they going to shoot 90-year-old missiles at us? Ooh, scary. Chinese drones. I have some contractors in here putting in new thermostats, and they just look confused, and they walk by me and hear snippets of you. Fair. Except it's full of Arab people. Small problem. It's never been something that's prevented globalization or colonization in the past. Can you show me on a map where the indigenous people have succeeded? China? Eh. North Sentinel Island. The indigenous people of England? You don't know much about British history, do you? Can you name who the indigenous people of England were? The Irish. The Germanic tribes have got kidnapped and enslaved by Rome. Yeah, and then kidnapped and enslaved by the Vikings, and then the French. I need $100 for what? My Pigeon Whale membership. What am I YOLOing? I thought you went long Tesla at 200. I did? That's not the point. Seems like a point. We need a Genghis Khan of our century. Have you been watching Marco Polo on Netflix? I also got fucked this morning buying the 220C at 217.50. Ouch. Just because Normandy is part of France now doesn't mean it was back then. The first Duke of Normandy was a Viking. It was under the French crown upon its formation, but was largely treated as an independent state. Uhtred of Bebbanburg? That's a fucking fictional account of history. It was Rollo? Rollo was the first Duke of Normandy. I just wanted you to say it. You're a dick. Why do you know all of this? Read books? You should try it. They're full of information. Yeah, well, it's losing 55-55. It's not going to look better if the indexes are failing. None of the Mag 7 are going to do well if the indexes are failing. The Siamese kings did pretty well for themselves and avoided any sort of colonization, mainly due to them being smart in negotiations. Yeah, also because they were in the fucking jungle and no one cared. I've read thousands of books, just not on other countries' history. And even if I had, I certainly would be able to recite that info. Why? I mean, first of all, why not other countries' history? Second, why not remember the things you read? Some of us remember stuff. Well, that's good. Reading thousands of books and not retaining any of the information seems like a big waste of fucking time. ABGO 155C Weekly has 22k volume so far. No other striker put has enough volume to indicate a spread or straddles. Earnings later this week, so it's interesting. That is kind of interesting. How hard is SVX going to get dunked if Jolts is a big mess? We could get back down to like 5,500. I didn't have a photographic memory. That would be like being able to recite word for word every page I'd ever read. Well, that's good. Especially if you're a practicing psychologist. I would hope that you retained that. I don't know. I just read a lot of stuff or have a good memory, I guess. If we have chemistry, can we see live data? Not yet, but maybe in about a month or so. We're still developing it. What does SPX positioning look like in the last half hour? It looks like we're falling into the bot puts at 55.45, which is where I said they were an hour ago. There's support at 55.40. I wonder if I could just randomly buy this back for less than I sold it for. Every once in a while, the spread gets wonky. He's more like Goodwill Hunting. He's not Rain Man. How dare you? I've got a photographic memory of your butthole. That's what I use for my biometric access to my trading accounts. I hope not. So you're talking about regions that are geographically isolated. And until the modern era, didn't really have any natural resources to speak of that anyone cared about. You think people were like looking up at the top of the Himalayas and they're like, man, I can't wait to march an army up that mountain. Are bulls fucked? I mean, yeah, I bet. Yeah, they're definitely kind of fucked today. But we have jolts tomorrow, so the chances of a mean reversion, maybe not to like 5,600, but back up to like 5550 or 50 so 5570 are still probably really high throughout the remainder of the day. This is the delta neutral test. Well, technically delta neutral failure, but we could bounce from under delta neutral on the weekly. Continuation from here is 5530, and then there's big support at 5525. Where's the next stop? 100, or probably just back to 110. The Inca dominated South America and had a super interesting civilization until the conquistadores. The Inca and the Mayan are not excellent examples of indigenous people that continued to thrive post colonization. If anything, they're the poster child for how bad colonization was for indigenous people. I thought we were just talking about history. Oh, no. No. But they did. They had a very interesting civilization and culture until they got smallpox. I saw Apocalyptico. Jesus Christ. How did they get smallpox? It was a gift. They had too much gold they told the Spaniards about the first time they met. This is why you don't take cash out of your wallet in public. It's pretty hard to bounce here. There's some support, but there's still more bot puts out at 5530. Can Tesla drop to 20750 or prime for a bounce? It has support at 210. It gets more bullish above 220. We're talking about successful indigenous peoples. Penguins thriving on Antarctica. They're not people, but they've done okay for themselves. Should we also not be keeping our Costco gold bars in our wallets? Jesus Christ. Antarctica is a desert? Technically, they're desert penguins, unless made of tiramisu. Hmm. How did you play mean reversion in a cash account while maintaining downward exposure through tomorrow? Your only option at that point is to buy like an out of the money call. Cash accounts don't really give you a lot of options. The Mali Empire was badass. I mean, there's a lot of questions around how much gold there actually was, right? Like it was like thousands of slaves, right, carrying 4 pounds of gold each, or what was it, like 50,000 slaves or something like that, carrying 4 pounds of gold each. But we don't know if that was all of his gold, part of his gold. We don't know what percentage of the holdings it represented. Um, we know that it depressed Egypt's gold market, but we don't know by how much. So there's not a lot of like reliable evidence of it, right? I think most of the accounts are in the are by like Shahab al Omari, and that's anecdotal and secondary secondary sourced information anyway. So basically, all we do know is he had a shitload of gold. Um, Mansa Musa, yeah. Have you heard anything about this bird flu in Antarctica? Gnarly? No. The only generous billionaire. He was a sultan and a slave owner. I don't know how great of a guy he was. He he did some nice things. We sliced right through weekly DN. Yep. It's a low bar. Shorting on the 55.30 put. 55.40 and 35. The 55.30 put's long. Looks long. That's the next stop to the downside if we slip this level and squeeze out the short puts at 40 and 35. Would be a fairly quick move down to 55.30, where 55.25 is then supportive. Mansa Musa had more gold than anyone in history. According to the historic scholar, had in today's value 400 billion. Yet we don't actually know if any of that's true because they're all anecdotal accounts. Have you actually read about this at all? Or are you just citing Google? The first written description of the events was in like 1340, 1350, and the events themselves happened in like 1325, so about 25 years later. um and no one knows, no one's actually done any like archaeological studies into how productive the gold mines were, or if it was his wealth or the amassed wealth of, the royal family of that area over how many generations. I bet he had a sweet grill, probably. How can I put gold in my Apple wallet? King Solomon entered the chat. He might not even be a real person. Like, what? OG Pigeon Well. Are people citing Assassin's Creed Origins as historic facts? It's very possible. All right, well, the French colonized Mali, so now the French have it all. I'm citing Civ 6. Excellent. Yes, it's true. I learned it on a side quest. I think a lot of the long-term yen carry is yet to be unwound, so it's very possible. Let me put it visually so it's easy to understand. This is the yen carry since 2008, right? This was peak '07. And it unwound to about, oh, like 1.6x leverage. By 2012. This was June of 16, which I forget what this was. But that unwound from about 3x to 1x. Um, I think that was right around here. This was this was Trump, right? The I forget what it was. Yeah, it was like the Trump like Chinese trade war stuff. Um and then hold on, let me go back. Currently we're at 6.9x leverage. So for this to unwind to where it was in 2012 would be a 73% reduction in leverage still. What we saw recently with the Japan rate hike scare and VIX to 60 and indexes down 10% represented a unwinding of 20%. So it moved from roughly 8.9x leverage to 6.9x. Because it's a synthetic spread. Hmm. So there's a little bit of support back here at 50. We failed 40. So 50, 25 are like long-term supports. So there's not a lot of support at 40. Are you gonna roll your put side down? What? What's the line at 38? I don't know. Historic support resistance. Roll your idiot put trades down to 45.50. Or when I just open a new one. Why would I open it at 45.50? The spread there is way higher risk. $45.55 is like $3 of risk, roughly. For the bounce? No. I would just open a new one. I wouldn't roll that down. I already nearly 2x'd on 4600s. I feel like I'd be dumb not to sell. Well, if you sell half, then the rest are covered, right? Are there any critical points on VIX where the carry trade is forced to deleverage? It'll deleverage the more short vol comes under threat because short vol is pulling back and short vol uses the leverage and the carry to sustain their margin. Well, they're highly correlated.
Only for swaps opened before the rates move. Like, no one's opening the swap as the rate moves positive, right? The swap is only going to be opened as rates are negative. So, no, I don't think there's any reason to change it. Yes, it would become more inaccurate if leverage were reduced significantly, but that's not really a concern right now. And once leverage is reduced significantly, it also wouldn't be a concern because you wouldn't care, you wouldn't want to watch it anymore anyway. The 5530 put has to be getting shorted. Mm, it is a bit, but it's not significant enough yet. It's still net long. And I think more than it getting shorted, you're seeing profit taking on it. It was just like a tail position anyway. And it's printed super fucking hard. I'm the one contract keeping it net long. No. No, no, no. Info on Masa Musa from academic Lucy Duran of the London University. Okay. Again, all anecdotal evidence. That doesn't mean people can't write about it. It's still a historic record, but all of the evidence of his Hajj was anecdotal and taken either after his death or many, many years, decades after the actual event. Any signs of a pump into close? Not right now, no. Hmm. Here's what you can accurately say about Masa Musa is that he had a lot of slaves and a lot of gold, but no one knows actually how much. And the original accounts are like 12,000 slaves and 48,000. Um, it was 12,000 slaves and 48,000 like consorts. If you want to get a PhD, you could do an economic history of the Mali Empire. No one else has. According to Delafoss's translation of the Tariq al-Fatash, um, so he had like 8,700 or 9,000 slaves. And that was written 350 years after the fact. Mali Empire is what my rave weekends are about. Nobody before the year 1960 could count above 50. Are we going to gap up overnight? We could if the JOLTS data is, you know, within expectations. There's no source for that. No reliable source of that number, Javi. The earliest source, because we're arguing it. Computers finally helped us get into the triple digits. Oh, Jesus Christ. What's the argument? Everybody was doing the Mansa Musa richest guy ever thing, and there's really little to no historical evidence that any of the tales about him are entirely true. We know he had a lot of gold and a lot of slaves, and that's about it. But there were no accurate numbers cited in the Al-Umari or Ibn Battuta, and those are the only accounts from the period. Everything else was written about in like the 1600s as it had become more folklore than actual fact. I'm sure the current richest guy is some unknown Russian oligarch. Do you not know who Putin is? It's Putin. Putin's the unknown Russian oligarch. The richest guy ever was the guy from Mr. Deeds. The servant? Like the butler? Bandoric? The richest guy ever was Buddha. Do you feel the breakdown? No. Did you buy a put at the bottom? No, I'm up 150%. Okay. You doing something with that, or I'm just greedy? Oh, okay. I once knew a guy had an Audi S4, so that's got to be like top 20. Was he a was he a college freshman at USC and female? That's like the rich girl's Jetta. How are your kidneys doing? I don't know. No, he was my buddy at college though. Okay. But I didn't go to USC. Thank God. I went to Redacted. You have calls on Oxy? Are they sold? Pope has a lot of gold. It's true. My wife's roommate freshman year bought a 500 series BMW with cash. Rich chicks are the worst. Zero concept of reality. That's the selling point. What are you talking about? Do you want to be with someone who's just been ground into the earth by reality? How depressing. Imagine just dating someone with the weight of the world on their shoulders. I want a girl who doesn't know the value of a banana. Are you no longer bullish on oil? I just don't care about the volatility due to peace talks. I didn't say I wanted trailer trash poor, but rich chicks are just uppity. Bob, you're an ignoramus. I don't know if anybody's had cause to use that word in the last 60 years, but this Bob guy really wants it all. Yeah. It's like a supercar, nice to look at and drive, but breaks down on you every 5,000 miles. That's when you get a new supercar, Bob. See, it's your poor that's holding you back. Supercars don't go 1,000 miles. He'll find out maybe one day. At least I'm not as house poor as Doric. That's true. Yeah. Falling into the sold puts. Doop, doop, doop. If we lose 55. Yeah, actually, if we lose this trend, we're probably gonna dump to 30. They're still trying to build support here, but there's a shitload of bot puts at 55.45, which are really crushing the price. There could be a terrible example case of how to use Gamma Strike. Why? Is it because Dork saw this and he was like, I'm gonna buy my house here? He's poor, but he's building equity. One day he'll beat inflation. Am I missing the Bash Dork Hour? I'm defending you. He will sell his inflation to somebody else one day. That's the American dream. Everyone's just jealous that you and I touch wieners. I know. But you can only fit so many people in the bathroom at the same time. I'm touching one right now. What of it? It's true, no one accounts for ceiling space. Do they call you Spider-Man at the swingers parties? Man, that's gay. What's gay? Touching dicks with the homies? It's not gay if you say no homo. You need to check your bro code. I think you might be using using an old version. It's also not gay if you make loving eye contact. Well, I mean, that's, you have to. 90% eye contact. How many shares did Jensen sell today? Jensen doesn't sell dips. Who's the newbie? Okay, so assuming this bounces really hard, what I'm gonna do, set a limit buy for $8 and see if I can make $100 on the spread. I see no bounce yet. There may not actually ever be one. To be fair, this is, the bulls are not doing well here. We're below delta neutral. This is probably just gonna keep going down. Dork did upgrade to salmon, which is more expensive than pork chops. Dork had ribeyes the other night. He's middle class now. Not just his toe anymore. He's got like the sole of his foot in the door. Yeah. Am I jaundicing or is my camera just turning me orange? Huh. I have fantastic facial hair. Look at me. I'm the BlackRock now. He is a partial business owner. Dork's a paper millionaire. But only on paper. And that paper is a post-it note attached to the side of my monitor. I'm glad I sold packs at $11.79. Sounds like you missed out on your 15% dividend. Camera wants 5,600, but your keys are at 32. I don't know what any of that means. Can I just hire you to come fix it? How much does that cost? So the camera wants this? Oh, it's so blue. Somehow I've connected to two of them. Hmm. Ooh, that's very warm. That's why you don't have an Emmy nomination. Really? $400's a little better. If you want to leave the camera alone, just roll the color tab of the keys up slowly until you look healthy again. Same like going to the doctors. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What happened today? Market went down. I did offer some warning last night. Briefly. Not enough warning? I mean, I felt like it was a decent amount. $1% pump into end of day time. You mean power hour? Yeah, VIX is awfully close to 20. We're getting some bot calls in the money here. I would say we're probably getting pretty close to finding a support for the day. Tested 33, which is close enough. We have sold puts at 25, 35, 40. So on a push up, we'll push through a small pile of sold puts. The only problem is there's still a shitload of bot puts at 55, 45. Ryder dropped to 520 last month and jumped back. Sorry, I hibernated. Oh, the carry trade started to collapse. Japan finally raised rates to a positive level. Today, they threatened to raise rates again. Are you still in Apple? I have short calls on Apple. No puts. I wouldn't buy puts on it unless it failed 220 anyway. But yeah, the short calls are doing really well. VIX over 20. Woo! Just a nibble. What, AMKBY? It's getting pretty close to my next buy target, which is 670. Although if we did get a really good recession, could get it around 5, which would be awesome. That's where I bought it the first time. Back in like 2020. Unfortunately, I sold it at like $7 instead of like 18, but yeah, whatever. I wanted to go long Humana last night too. Why is ABBV so uncooperative? Because people are funneling money into it, expecting a downturn. It's a flight to safety. So if they think things are going good, they'll pull money out of it. If they think things are going badly, they're going to pile into it. Same is true for like Humana, UNH. A bounce to 5610 would be so hot right now. It's only 137 points to the upside. Vol's high enough. Ooh, this is the maximum downside support for my hypothetical distribution of returns. Well, very close to it. So return back to gamma neutral. I have no idea how to interpret that thingy. I can kind of explain it. So this green line is the like highest statistically probable move. This green and red line are the should I plot these as? Hold on. I need to look at my code. It's janky. Okay, so those are the drift adjusted maximum probabilities. within one standard deviation. And then these are the unadjusted ones. Although these are supposed to be brighter green and red. So, this is the most likely outcome. This is the most likely drift adjusted outcome. And this is the most likely price to end the 5-day period at. This will update after close today, though. Standard deviation. It's a Monte Carlo simulation. The last chart you post each day before going live must change significantly throughout the day, right? Not always. Usually the major levels don't move around much. How dare you, Dork? It's a probabilistic forecast. It only needs to be right like 60% of the time, right? And you just risk manage the other 40. Well, that's because the probable distributions end up in a bell curve. It looks a lot better than plotting it like this, right? That's gross. I don't. What do you want from me? Not enough squiggles. How's that? Is that better, popcorn? I mean, it's sick. 5330 still not long. Nope. Not anymore. Net short, and they're starting to buy calls. I feel at some point the bulls are going to try to pressure the long puts at 55.45 here and at least push us back to like 50-ish would make sense. So you're saying it's like Plinko from The Price is Right? Yeah. I mean, I've put some cool stuff in it. It's got a standard deviation range and expected range. If it works for you, I won't yuck your yum. It's better than me drawing lines. Fundamentally, not that valuable. It depends. I mean, if you're trading ranges on SPX, it's a good way of defining them. Which is all I really wanted it to do, right? Was define the trading range. And it's done a good job of that. It's got a 150 candle look back. And then it runs like 1,500 simulations. And also just a cowboy emoji. I know. I'd imagine you need to hybridize that with the options chain to define the trading range better. I mean, the MM was wrong. Like, well, here's the thing: MMs use Monte Carlos to price options, right? So it gives you a better understanding of where options will be mispriced, and that'll be outside of that standard deviation range that I'm showing. How do you determine gamma neutral? We calculate it. Is there a website that calculates it? I don't think so. Is that the special sauce of the pay for service you have launching soon? It's one of many special sauces, but it is featured there. JFresh's prediction is way off. You mean the one he didn't make? That's just fancy justification for buying cheap, out of the money zero DTEs. Really? I mean, here. If we look at this morning's open, right? And we consider the distribution of outcomes, right? Um, we fell below the standard deviation right at open. So if you'd bought, puts out here on the expected move after we fell below the expected the standard deviation range, right? Deviation expected. You make a lot of money, right? I'm not saying a Monte Carlo is going to predict the statistical outcome of a black swan event. But day-to-day trading, it's useful. Or we're doing the if you bought a put here game. Well, I mean, besides me telling you guys that opening under 56.25 would be bearish, um, this also kind of does that. To be fair, this is not kind of bearish. This is bearish as fuck. No, it's still just kind of bearish. Bearish as fuck is delta neutral on the AM contract, which is nowhere fucking near where we're at. We could be back at like 56.30 by tomorrow. Does September OPEX have a lot of OI? Yeah, it does. Day's not over yet. Nope. No, it's not. How do I get non-exclusive access to the exclusive beta? It's not exclusive. We just had to limit the number of beta participants. Listen, if you guys want to pay full price for half the features for 3 months, let me know. And we can make something work. Otherwise, just wait for the fucking product to be released. I won't yuck your yum anymore. You could never yuck my yum, Popcorn. It's not exclusive. You're just not invited. Don't make me shut down your account, Cobra. There's no instructions on how to use the data. I mean, it's data. It's interpretive, right, Dangston? Its value is in what you do with it. At least until we get the puts calls indicator built. But we're not giving that to Cobra. You guys fixed the refreshing logs you out thing? Yep. You can also type the ticker and hit enter now. What, sir? What? You're not even a paying customer. Don't. Don't lie to me. I'm not. You can type in a ticker, hit enter, and it'll go to the ticker. You don't have to click on it anymore. It's fantastic. It saves me so much time. You don't think about little things like that, but they make all the difference. Will this make hedgies hate you? I hope so. Otherwise, it's not really worth making. It's not like it's anything that they don't have access to, right? It's just giving that access to everybody else. Leveling the playing field, if you will. Which I like the idea of. Idiot proofing it would be awesome. We're already translating advanced options dynamics into easy to read technical analysis. How much more idiot proof can we make it? Make it like a Dr. Zeus level idiot proof. I know grown adults that can't read those books properly. I just want to deposit my money and have it spit out more money. That's called a savings account. We turned a turducken into a McChicken. What more do you want? You know what, Dork? I'll tell you right now, the most successful options platform in the world would have two things. You know what? I'll really mock it up properly. Give me a second. That's it. You just pick your ticker, and one of these is highlighted, and the other isn't. I mean, they would go out of business from the lawsuits immediately, but for those like 7 days, it would be the most popular options platform in the world. Take my money. You can piggyback other brokerage license to do direct trade links. Yes, you can. Now, Dork, there is a way for us to do that legally. Goldman says they're worried about U.S. sovereign debt. Bit late for that, isn't it? Yeah, but now they have puts. All right, fair enough. That's a valid difference. Integrating broker accounts opens you up for huge legal issues. I wouldn't go for it. It's actually not that bad. You just have to have, yeah, you have to have a lot of things in place before you can do that. None of which I'm interested in doing. A significant amount of the risk is handled by the by like the end user brokerage, right? So all of the like liability protections and stuff are the same because the brokerage links it. My company wouldn't do it. It wasn't worth it. It's a huge pain in the ass, and no, it's not really worth it. It's kind of like one of those things that you do when you don't have anything else to offer. Fortunately, that's not a problem we currently have. Like you just have a bunch of money that you want to blow on something stupid. I'm gonna laugh if there's some Nvidia employee with like $1 million worth of stock, thinking they're gonna retire comfortable, and Diamond hands their stock to zero. That's probably gonna be more than one employee. Monster's looking interesting. Yeah, I wish it would slow down its roll a little bit, but it's doing better. It's doling you? Well, it's not that it's doling me. I just don't want it to go above 49 because it'll limit the profitability of my long calls. But as long as it runs into a little resistance, like the long term trend, then I'm good. which it's kind of right at now. Yeah, today's ISM data was actually pretty bullish for them, which I suspected. You sold against them? Yeah, just to limit the decay. It was being responsible. I still have a range where the diagonals are profitable to the upside. They're just less profitable than the calls would be all on their own. So if it could stay under 49 this week, that would be perfect. Or close under 49 this week. And then move above 50 next week. It's kind of what I'm hoping for. But it might just keep moving up. It's bouncing pretty hard. Oh fuck, VIX is. No, bulls are trying to create support here, and if they do, they'll probably be able to facilitate a close above like 40 or 45. But trying real hard and succeeding, very different things. Guess you missed the secret monster DD. I bought calls on Monster at $50 last week, and everyone was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I think it'll go up," and that was it. Oh, and then last Friday when it wasn't going up with the market, I sold some. Or last Thursday, yeah, I think last Thursday when the market was falling, I sold September $49 calls against the $50 long calls, creating a diagonal. Ooh, shit. Well, this sold puts got fucked. This is major support for the intraday here at 25. I think if we lose 25 straight to 5,600 or 5,500. Microsoft's losing 410. That got fucked. All of tech got wrecked today. So did IWM. People are afraid of a recession again. Hey, my Canadian Pacific Kansas City Limited Railroad's doing fantastic. Fixie's moving up a little. Since he rolls up. So it's Nordstrom's. Ooh. Hmm. Oh, finally. BNED's dying off. Yes. GoEV's up today. A little tiny bit. Carvana's still failing. Squeezing out the short puts. Oh, that's going to be brutal. Bulls are getting blown the fuck up right now. Nvidia down 260 billion. Biggest one-day drop on record. They didn't need that money anyway. Likelihood of a continuation tomorrow? It'll be dependent on jolts. Bulls aren't closing their short puts. The market maker is just dropping the delta. So there's still sold puts all the way out to 55.40 right now. This is 55.34 ES. This is an important level. So if we're going to get a bounce back to trends to retest like 5,600, it would probably be off of this. If we fail this, we're probably going to test the bear signal down at like 54.33. So this is actually pretty important on that side of things. Yeah, the levels weren't changed. Hmm. Sounds like a good straddle opportunity. Yeah. Hmm. $18,950. Hmm. Ooh, that's tempting. Straight through future support. It's pretty spicy. Hmm. I know. I see the 2-year, 10-year.
Hmm.
If bulls get back 55-20, they're going to push this. Damn, that call's getting crushed. I was trying so hard to sell it. Charm's super negative. But it'll get more positive if we get over the sold puts here. 55, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Bears have the advantage here, but Jolt State is a big deal. is exciting. Bull's gonna get that 40 reversal, end of day. Or 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm long a shitload of calls at 55.50. I'll say with 35 and 40. There we go. This is resistance. Hmm. Ten seconds. There it is. Ding dang. Nice. Well, those 2 calls paid for the bull pits. You beautiful bastard. That was pretty sweet. Ding ding. I almost sold mine at 250. Well, I mean, once the Bulls weren't giving up the 25 puts, it was pretty obvious, I think, where things were gonna close. You and your cute view up hat. All right, I'm gonna go to the doctors, but that was some fun shit. All right, where's oh, trading view. All right, let's take a look here. So, despite our brief drop below it, we managed to close right there at today's expected move. Um, a little reversion back into our standard deviation range. Remember, if this level is lost, that will propagate some CTA selling, which is something that should be noted. Um, the next standard deviation move out is hold on, I think I can adjust for that. Give me a second. So this is what a 2 standard deviation range would look like. That puts us around 5350. So I mean that's that would be a very big level for CTAs after today's move down. So obviously Jolt's data tomorrow morning is going to make, all the difference in the world and could very well support the bull case and see us move back towards the 5600 range, where we would await, well, ISM services and non-farm. It's right on the line, but not below. Amazing. Yeah, it's almost like there's people that are extremely interested in that outcome. Anyway, ES failed below the bull signal, caught support, bounced back, and closed above it. I will say that this kind of reversal, should it continue above 5560 here, would be the next test. A breakout there would indicate a test of the long-term trend. So that breakout is a very bullish signal. Um, keep an eye out for that. A lot of that could just happen in the overnight, and we could mean revert back to like 5600 before tomorrow open. Um, although I would say that 5550 is maybe a better level, given today's price action. Commodities just slapped in the face today. Oil drilling to the center of the earth, down 435 basis points. Precious metals down, but gold kind of still holding up, and agricultural commodities rising. Yields at the top end of the curve dropped off really hard with the promise of rate cuts out of Japan today. Fortunately, the euro and the pound also declined against the dollar, which added a little bit of strength in what would have just been a complete rout by the yen, which has risen over the dollar by 81 points. Correlation obviously breaking down very, very hard today. Almost a 300 basis point loss on NQ into the end of the day, just shy 299. That's a huge turnaround in correlation after a couple weeks of pretty consistent declines, and probably represents a large breakdown in the dispersion trade. If this is to continue, which the data this week will probably decide, but strong trends in correlation tend to continue, then this is telling you that short tech is a profitable play, right? Because people are going long vol or short vol rather, the underlying, long vol the index. And in huge numbers, right? That's a big shift. So it's indicative of an equity sell-off or risk-off in equities. Carry trade broke down a bit today. Obviously, most of that breakdown on the long-term side, out here on the 10, 20, 30. Much less so on the near side. So short paper holding up the cost to carry on the long end. And that's why you see that fear of Japanese rate hikes expressed so strongly in the market, right? Even the hint at one spooked everybody today, right? Told you the carry trade wasn't over. Fucking JPM lying to everybody. Bond vol is definitely going to have moved up today, alongside correlation. So those are becoming more correlated with each other. Skew or tail risk hedging hit fairly significant high on Friday. Hopefully we've seen this turn around. Otherwise, the exposure to outsized downside moves is going to be pretty significant. Or well, I guess today told us that exposure already was significant. Um, Being short vol a little bit more dangerous nowadays. That has not updated yet. Um, Correlation between VIX, cash VIX, positive correlation moved up 1%, or VX cash VIX. So a little more strongly correlated today. Vol falling back in line with the futures pricing, and the forward yield on volatility, which I don't know if we looked at, closed the day quite positive, 9.42%. This is significant. Um, uh, Rarely happens. But the forward yield on volatility has not yet exceeded the yields on the 10-2 curve. So if it does close above that, you're kind of in a market crash situation. The market is crashing. Going into a recession, market crashing, all the bad things. So it's still quite far away. 37.37% to 9%, but it can get there very quickly. The spice must flow. Yes, it must. Seems like my tweet last week was right on time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm gonna head out to the doctor's, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning. I hope everybody has a good night. Later, guys.